CALCASA Toolkit, Amplify. My name is Lorena Campos. I'm the Communications Coordinator here at the California Coalition Against Sexual Assault, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers. I've been here for over 2.5 years now, and I'm excited to talk to you all about amplifying the successful moments that you all are doing each year, especially during Sexual Assault Awareness Month. I'll be your facilitator today, and I'll go over a timeline of our time together. So first we'll start off with how to use the technology for this web conference. Then we'll go over the objectives. After that, what we won't be covering is every page of the toolkit. So you all received about 3 hours ago before this web conference the link to the toolkit. I'll show you how to access it here. But this is just kind of like a general overview, what's in the toolkit, what's accessible to you, and you're always welcome to reach out to me or anyone at CALCASA if you have any questions. And really just knowing how to use the toolkit as a resource for your messaging during April and honestly all year round. So don't forget you can reach us at info@calcasa.org and follow us on social media. We have a Twitter and an active Facebook account. So the technology, we'll be using the text chat a lot. You're welcome to send a message to everyone in the text chat if you have any specific questions or if you're having any issues. You can use the private chat, and that should be on your the right hand of your screen. I'll be going through the PowerPoint slides for today's web conference, and we can make those available to you afterwards. We won't be using any polling questions, but if you have any issues calling in, if you're using web audio and you're having connection issues, sometimes it does help to call in by phone. If you have any questions for that, feel free to chat us as well. Tori's great. She's helping us today with any tech issues that we might have. We won't have closed captioning. We will be recording this so that it's available online after today. And just some web conference guidelines. We're all here to learn, to have a good community together. If you have any questions, again, you can join the chat or you feel free to reach us afterwards. And we also have contact a contact for Adobe Connect support, and that's included in the link. And that's also as a link in the chat for your reference. So our objectives. Today we'll go over finding and downloading the SAAM toolkit. After that, you should be able to use the toolkit as a resource to craft your messaging in the future, and we'll be going over the SAAM infographic to talk about the impact of sexual violence in California and the services that you all provide as Rape Crisis Center programs. And these resources are available online, and we've also sent them by mail to Rape Crisis Center programs. So you should be receiving that in your mailbox soon. So accessing the toolkit is fairly simple. You can go to calcasa.org/SAAM, or you can go to our website, calcasa.org, and in the Resources tab, you can click on Sexual Assault Awareness Month. And so at the top of the page, you'll see the SAAM 2019 Toolkit. You can click on that to access it. We also have some images, some infographics that you can share online digitally. We have a Facebook cover. Some of the resources include some background information. So we have the cost and consequences of sexual violence in California. We have Reliance's making the case for preventing sexual violence, which is it's a deeper look into how to craft messaging. It's a full report. We also have a social media activism toolkit that was developed with Break the Cycle, and so that's specific to how to use social media, by looking into why you want to use it, all of the factors that go into that. And then we have worksheets. So our SAAM toolkit is included in that as well, because the way that we built the toolkit this year is that you can easily fill in the information based off of the messaging that you're trying to create at the moment. So last year we heard from you. We had a couple of conversations online. It was myself and Leah, one of our project managers, and what really SAAM meant for you all, and how our CALCASA SAAM toolkits come into play. And what we heard was that you already plan events and community engagements in advance because they're oftentimes fundraisers or informational events that you do each year, or things that manifest over time as a result of what your community needs, which is really awesome. It's great to see on social media. I was able to follow and look up all of the events that a lot of our Rape Crisis Center programs do each year. So we really want to just emphasize that we're looking, we like hearing it. It's really amazing to have social media as kind of like an archive of some of the successes that you have, not only in April, but throughout the year. So we just know that everyone should know about what you're doing. Oftentimes, social media is a great way and a great platform to send out that messaging, and it really brings out the altruism in folks, which is, inspiring others by seeing other people doing things, donating to things, volunteering, and really knowing about what's going on around them and how they can get involved. So we really want to amplify your voices. We want to hear about what you're doing in 2019, not only raise awareness, but channeling that awareness into action. So keep in mind this toolkit is about messaging. We talk to our community year-round, so this toolkit can be used as a resource beyond SAAM. In the toolkit, you'll find the plan for messaging. This can be your brainstorm stage, whether you have a few seconds or a few minutes. You can use this guide for key information on what you want to share, who you want to share it with. A lot of these resources are tools that I use every day. Eventually, I already have them kind of mapped out in my head, but I use some of these guides as like a backup in my desk drawer. And so we really want this to be that for you. And so the plan in this toolkit that you'll find, really asking questions about who you're trying to reach, what are some of the barriers, and what are the expertise, what's the expertise that you have, and then how to make your ambitions be known. So a significant part of this toolkit breaks down necessary areas to really create the message that will amplify what you're trying to say and reach your audience. So we have an example on page 8. Some of the 3 key points that I always look to are leading with common values, stating the problem, and pointing to success. Finding those common values in what you're communicating to your audience. What we mean by that is just, if you have a common value of respect, if you have a common value of safety for your community, those are easy pathways to really connect to the people that we're reaching. And so one of the examples that we have that we pulled from is from our infographic. We really use this toolkit to influence the way that we were crafting the talking points. So as an example, you can keep in mind that we have a lot of tools, and you don't necessarily need to use all of them when you're creating your message. But once you access the toolkit, we have this example, and we've highlighted the different components that go into it. So the orange that's highlighted here on the screen is speaking to common values. So it's important for every member of our community to feel safe and supported. The common value that stands out there is feeling safe and support from community. In the blue, we have acknowledging barriers. So facing sexual assault can be scary and overwhelming. Oftentimes, it's hard to communicate with our audience about sexual assault because it's just really overwhelming. Some people get really triggered or agitated at the idea of talking about this, especially about children. So really acknowledging that barrier firsthand can really open that segue to talking to people about it. And then naming solutions. So at Rape Crisis Center names, so it could be, at Weave or at Safe Castellano, we help sexual assault survivors. We provide counseling, host a 24/7 hotline, provide support when speaking with law enforcement. We accompany medical exams, and we also provide community education. These are ways that we've identified that we could really just easily name the solutions. These are things that you all provide every day for survivors. And that's really a solution that people don't always recognize or are always aware of. And then in the purple, we have pointing to success. So this is a way to identify examples of what success can look like. In this example, we're here for sexual assault survivors. We are here for our community. With our training and years of expertise of addressing sexual assault in this county, we can support survivors in ways that meet their unique experience and their needs. In 2017, we helped X amount of survivors. So this is a really great way to show that the work that you're doing, how it's successful, and really showing the ways that people can support that. So if your center is supporting survivors, by donating, then that means that they are, in fact, contributing to that success as well. It looks like Jacqueline Cortez added something. Significant barrier, needing to translate materials into Spanish. Not all materials on NSVRC, et cetera, are available in other languages. And that's right. I think there are some more resources that we can create around languages, and that is a significant part of identifying your audience and messaging. So Jacqueline, I'd be happy to talk with you after this session and see what other ways we can provide support. We do have our Latinx program person in our Southern California office, and it would be really great to connect with those folks, about the translation of materials. So thank you for that. And another part of the toolkit is really about examples, figuring out what's relatable to you, and then identifying barriers. So Jacqueline really kind of just jumped into this and was reading my mind, identifying some of the barriers that you're all facing during SAAM or throughout the year. So if anybody else has some barriers that they're facing during SAAM, as far as who you might be communicating with, how you're trying to communicate with folks, if anybody else has some of the barriers that they've been able to identify, either that they're facing this year or they faced in the past, if you had any barriers that you were able to overcome. Thank you, Selena. It looks like Selena Gonzalez told us about providing services to undocumented survivors. And some of the ways that we reach out to those communities. So creating effective messaging can also be identifying some of those problems for our community, and maybe ways that once we create that messaging, we can really reach out to other organizations that either also service undocumented survivors or are interested in that. So thank you, Selena. That is another barrier. And I'm also curious if that means servicing undocumented survivors, if that means reaching them, if that's your barrier, or just the services in general. So it looks like you're saying reaching them. Usually undocumented survivors are afraid to come forward due to deportation. And that is a really important part, that what I see in a lot of social justice organizations providing any kind of services to undocumented survivors. And that's also an important way to go through this toolkit and some of the ways that we can consider how are we reaching out to our audience? Where are we reaching out to them? Is it just through bulletin boards where some folks might not see them or might be able to read them? Or if there's factors of influence, if we know that certain groups are faith-rooted, maybe there's a way to connect with that community and ways to include messages there. If there's other areas that some survivors are reached, then considering some of those factors or some of the ways that we can really use this toolkit and go through those questions of, kind of describing some journeys with other folks that are trying to reach these people as well. It really lets people relate to what we're doing and then contributing to it. So yeah, I'm happy to talk more about this after if other folks have any other questions. But identifying these barriers is a really great way to identify what we're trying to get across. So if we're trying to reach undocumented survivors, then we have to consider language. We have to consider cultural factors in the way that we create our messaging. So maybe saying rape isn't the easiest way to connect with people that need assistance. And not to say that we can't say that, but just that what are some of the words and the ways that we approach people? What's the easiest way to kind of bridge those connections? And who else in the community has been able to, has been successful in reaching out to that population? And what are some of the ways that we can really use some of those connections that have already been created? So thank you, Selena and Jacqueline. And so I'm also interested in some of the successes. So with barriers, we also come with a success. It's always a way to rethink and reconsider some of the ways that we reach out to people, the way that we communicate to them, whether it's on social media, whether it's through a flyer, whether it's person to person, during presentations, considering all of the areas in our community that you all provide assistance to. If there are some successes that you've had recently, whether that's posting a certain amount of flyers, whether it's just providing a training to a specific group, it could be parents. Yeah, it'd be great to help fill up our text chat today with some of the examples of the things that you've all done or are doing at the moment that would be a success either for SAAM or any other services that you provide throughout the year. So it looks like some folks might need more time to reflect and share. Feel free to send me an email after the web conference if you have any successes. We'd be happy to also share them on social media. We really look forward to SAAM because we can see how active the communities are during that month, and we can always share a lot of the things that you're all doing. It looks like Jacqueline mentioned program coordinators at RCS Fresno are applying low-cost awareness campaigns for SAAM, partnering with County Library System to display RCS materials, books, DVDs, etc. regarding sexual assault and sexual violence, getting local businesses to show support during SAAM by painting a teal-colored ribbon on their storefronts with window marker, and then other low-cost ideas are in the mix. That's really great. Thank you for sharing that. I think that's a really good example of different ways that we can show our successes, some things that are really visual, like you're saying, if storefronts are having ribbons, identifying those and sharing them on Facebook and sharing that. Part of the community, a lot of communities have their own, like Sacramento or Stockton or insert city name Instagram, where they show photos of their cities throughout the month. And so being able to show SAAM highlighted in some of those storefronts is a really great way to show the success of your program, where you're reaching your visibility in the community. And then you're saying you're partnering with the County Library System. That's a really great success of ways that it's going into different spaces. And so naming those successes are really great ways to, and crafting messages for those are great ways to connect to other leaders in the community or other folks that are interested in maybe supporting you all and don't really know what that looks like. And it looks like you've identified a couple ways that people can take action and be involved, and really brings that sense of community. So thank you, Jacqueline. Those are really great examples. And so some of those are kind of the ways that we've thought throughout the toolkit of being able to name those successes can bring more people to take action. So you're creating this awareness, but you're also showing other folks that they can easily get involved, and there is something to do. It can be overwhelming when we're thinking about sexual violence and ending it. What does that really mean? What does prevention mean? And it could be as great as sharing materials and books and DVDs to folks that might not have seen or read them before. So thank you all for that. So now here's something familiar. We have our infographic and talking points this year, and they include on one side the Rape Crisis Center program specific information, which you all should receive in the mail soon, if not already, and that includes the amount of survivors you've served in your area. And then on side 2, it has information on the impact of sexual violence in California as a whole. And so from the same data that we pulled your specific numbers, there's also information on how many community education impacts you've had. And it also includes the cost of sexual violence in California and the amount of survivors served over the past couple of years to show the growth and the need in serving survivors in California. And so these graphics can be shared with your partners, they can be shared with collaborators. They'd be great to share with leaders in your community to show the support that's needed for sexual assault survivors and for your programs and what you do. And it's a really great way to talk with your audience, and you can really develop your own talking points, but we provided some based off of the toolkit, based off of the ideas of sharing values, talking about your success, and identifying the barriers that we face. And ideally, this is, in the past, we've heard that you all have them maybe in your cubicles, on a desk, and they're really great, just like starting point to talk to other folks about what you're doing. These infographics on the second page are available online to share. And so when we talk about the cost of sexual violence in California, we're really trying to identify the broader impact of sexual violence and the ways that we can identify intangible costs, what it means, but you all can also continue to elaborate on what it means for your community, what it means for certain communities like undocumented survivors, what it means for youth, and other parts that you all specifically know about. And it's really great to hear about the programs that you're doing to make some changes and other events that people can start getting involved and becoming volunteers or becoming advocates themselves. So yeah, if you all have any questions on the infographic and talking points, I'm happy to answer them. And we can also share your center-specific infographics if you need more. We can send you over a digital copy. We send you a couple of copies in the mail, and those are made available to all of the Rape Crisis Center programs in California. So thank you all for your time with me today. I really appreciate you sharing some of your barriers, a lot of your successes, which are great. I really do look forward to hearing about what you're doing in SAAM and elevating that through and amplifying it through our social media pages. So I'll be following SAAM 2019, hashtag SAAM 2019 and hashtag Amplify. If you use those, it'll be a really great way that we could all share with each other and identify that. So again, thank you all for your time today. You're welcome to ask any questions. You can send them to info@calcasa.org. You can send them to me. I'll include my phone number and my email in the chat. And again, these graphics and the toolkit and all the other background resources are available online at calcasa.org under Sexual Assault Awareness Month, or you can type in calcasa.org/SAAM. So I'm always happy to connect with you all. Thank you so much for your time. I can hang on here for a couple, like 5 or 10 minutes. If anybody has questions, we can address them in the chat. So thank you.